Veil of the Bible. Welcome to Veil of the Bible, where biblical stories come alive through captivating narration. I'm your host, and today we embark on a journey to uncover one of history's greatest mysteries. Why did Jesus, the master teacher, choose to speak in parables? Before we begin this revelation, please subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps us bring more biblical mysteries to light. Now let's dive into this fascinating story. Picture this: crowds gathering around a humble carpenter from Nazareth, hanging on his every word. Yet instead of speaking plainly, he tells stories about seeds, lost sheep, and buried treasures. Was this divine wisdom or something more mysterious? The sun beat down mercilessly on the shores of the Sea of Galilee as Jesus stepped into a boat. The crowd pressed closer, their faces filled with anticipation. They had heard about this teacher who spoke with authority, unlike the scribes and Pharisees. "Listen," Jesus began, his voice carrying across the water. "A farmer went out to sow his seed." The crowd leaned forward, expecting a simple agricultural lesson. Little did they know they were about to hear something that would puzzle minds for centuries. As Jesus continued the parable of the sower, describing seeds falling on different types of ground, confused murmurs rippled through the audience. The religious leaders exchanged glances. What was this carpenter trying to say? The multitude dispersed that day with questions burning in their hearts. Some dismissed the stories as simple tales. Others sensed deeper meaning hidden beneath the surface. But why would the Son of God speak in riddles? Day after day, Jesus continued this mysterious pattern. He spoke of mustard seeds, hidden treasures, wedding banquets, and prodigal sons. Each story seemed simple on the surface, yet carried an undercurrent of profound truth. The disciples watched their master with growing bewilderment. They had left everything to follow him, believing he was the Messiah. Yet his teaching method seemed designed to confuse rather than clarify. Their frustration was mounting. Even the Pharisees, masters of religious knowledge, found themselves perplexed. They had spent years studying the scriptures, yet this teacher's parables left them grasping for understanding. Was he mocking their wisdom? The common people, fishermen and farmers, tax collectors and sinners, gathered wherever Jesus taught. Some grasped glimpses of truth in his stories. Others walked away more confused than when they arrived. The division was becoming clear. Children laughed at the funny characters in Jesus' stories. The persistent widow, the foolish rich man, the good Samaritan. Yet even in their innocent joy, something deeper was being planted in their hearts. Seeds of eternal truth. As weeks turned to months, the pattern became undeniable. Jesus consistently chose parables over plain teaching. The crowds grew larger, but understanding seemed to grow smaller. What was the Master's true intention? The tension reached a breaking point when even John the Baptist, languishing in prison, sent messengers to ask, "Are you the one who is to come, or should we expect someone else?" The confusion was spreading everywhere. Late one evening, as the crowds dispersed and silence fell over the landscape, the 12 disciples approached Jesus with heavy hearts. They needed answers. The question that would change everything was about to be asked. "Master," they whispered urgently, "why do you speak to the people in parables?" The weight of their confusion hung in the air like morning mist. Jesus looked at them with eyes full of compassion and infinite wisdom. The moment had come for revelation. Jesus was about to unveil the divine strategy behind his enigmatic teaching method. The answer would reveal the heart of God and the nature of spiritual truth itself. "Come closer," Jesus said softly, his voice carrying the authority of heaven itself. The disciples gathered around their master, knowing they were about to hear something that would change their understanding forever. Jesus began to speak, his words cutting through the darkness like a sword of truth. "Because the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them." The disciples' eyes widened in astonishment. "Whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance," Jesus continued, his voice filled with both love and sorrow. Whoever does not have, even what they have, will be taken from them. The divine principle was being revealed. The Master's explanation struck like thunder in their hearts. The parables weren't just teaching tools, they were a divine filter, separating those with receptive hearts from those whose hearts had grown cold and hardened. "This is why I speak to them in parables," Jesus said, his voice heavy with the weight of prophecy. "Though seeing, they do not see. Though hearing, they do not hear or understand." The truth was both beautiful and terrible. Jesus then quoted the prophet Isaiah, his words echoing through the centuries. "You will be ever hearing but never understanding. You will be ever seeing but never perceiving." The ancient prophecy was being fulfilled before their eyes. "For this people's heart has become calloused," Jesus continued, painting a picture of spiritual tragedy. "They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes." The condition of Israel's heart was being exposed. The disciples began to understand the divine wisdom at work. Those who truly sought God would dig deeper into the parables, finding treasures of truth. Those who were merely curious would walk away empty-handed. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them, Jesus said. The parables were both an invitation to the humble and a veil to the proud. "But blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear," Jesus told his disciples, his voice filled with joy. They were among the chosen few who had been given the gift of spiritual sight and understanding. The Master revealed that many prophets and righteous people longed to see what the disciples were seeing and hear what they were hearing, but did not. They were living in the most privileged moment in human history. As the full weight of this revelation settled upon them, the disciples realized they were witnesses to the greatest drama ever unfolded. The parables were not obstacles to truth, but pathways for those with sincere hearts. The divine strategy was brilliant in its simplicity. Those who genuinely sought God would be drawn to ask questions, to seek deeper meaning. Those who were merely entertained would remain on the surface, unchanged. Jesus looked at each disciple with infinite love. They had been chosen not because of their wisdom or righteousness, but because of their willingness to follow, to question, to seek understanding with childlike hearts. The parable method was also a protection for Jesus himself. By speaking in stories, he could proclaim revolutionary truths about God's kingdom without immediately triggering the wrath of religious and political authorities. As the night deepened, the disciples felt the tremendous responsibility settling upon their shoulders. They had been entrusted with the secrets of God's kingdom. What would they do with this precious gift? What do you think about this revelation so far? Share your thoughts in the comments below as we continue this incredible journey. Jesus began to unveil the deeper layers of his parable strategy. Each story was like a multifaceted jewel. The parable of the sower, Jesus explained, reveals the condition of human hearts and how they receive God's word. What seemed like a simple farming story was actually a profound diagnosis of spiritual receptivity. The hard path represented hearts hardened by pride and tradition. The rocky ground symbolized shallow faith that withers under pressure. The thorny soil showed hearts choked by worldly concerns and the deceitfulness of wealth. But the good soil, this represented hearts that were humble, receptive, and willing to be transformed. These would bear fruit 30, 60, even 100-fold. The parable was a mirror reflecting each listener's spiritual condition. Jesus revealed how the kingdom of heaven was like a treasure hidden in a field, so valuable that a man would sell everything to possess it. Those who truly understood would sacrifice anything for this eternal treasure. The parable of the pearl of great price reinforced this truth. A merchant searching for fine pearls found one of such extraordinary value that he sold everything to buy it. The kingdom was worth any sacrifice. Through the parable of the mustard seed, Jesus showed how God's kingdom would start small but grow into something magnificent. What seemed insignificant in the beginning would transform the entire world. The yeast mixed into flour demonstrated how the kingdom would work invisibly, permeating society from within. The transformation would be gradual, but inevitable, changing everything it touched. Jesus explained the parable of the weeds growing among the wheat. Good and evil would coexist until the final judgment, when God himself would separate them. Patience was required in God's timing. The fishing net parable revealed the same truth from another angle. The kingdom would gather people of every kind, but ultimately the righteous would be separated from the wicked by divine judgment. As Jesus continued his explanations, the disciples realized they were being given the keys to understanding all spiritual truth. The parables were training their minds to think in eternal categories. The Master showed them how each parable addressed different aspects of discipleship: the cost of following him, the nature of forgiveness, the importance of humility, and the certainty of divine justice. Through stories of servants and masters, Jesus taught about accountability and stewardship. Every person would give an account to God for how they used their gifts, opportunities, and resources. The parables of the lost sheep, lost coin, and lost son revealed the heart of God, his relentless love for the lost, and his incredible joy when even one sinner repents and returns to him. Jesus demonstrated through his stories that God's ways are not man's ways. The first would be last, the humble would be exalted, and the greatest would be the servant of all. Thank you so much for staying with us this far. The best revelations are yet to come, so don't go anywhere. As months passed, the disciples witnessed the incredible power of Jesus' parable method. The parables became embedded in human consciousness, like seeds planted in fertile soil. Generations would quote them, artists would paint them, and children would learn them by heart. The stories were immortal. Even Jesus' enemies couldn't escape the power of his parables. The story of the wicked tenants cut so close to their hearts that they wanted to arrest him immediately, knowing he was speaking about them. The parable of the wedding banquet revealed God's invitation to all humanity and the tragic consequences of rejecting his call. The religious leaders recognized themselves as those who made excuses and refused to come. Through the story of the rich man and Lazarus, Jesus pulled back the veil between this world and the next, revealing the eternal consequences of how we treat others and respond to God's word. The parables weren't just ancient stories. They were prophetic glimpses into the future. The parable of the 10 virgins warned about being prepared for Christ's return, while the talents taught about faithful stewardship. As the cross approached, Jesus' parables took on even greater significance. The cornerstone rejected by the builders, the vineyard owner's beloved son, all pointed to his sacrificial death and resurrection. After the resurrection, the disciples finally understood the full genius of their master's method. The parables had been preparing their hearts and minds for truths too wonderful for direct explanation. Throughout history, the parables of Jesus have continued to reveal new depths of meaning. Scholars study them, preachers expound them, and ordinary believers find comfort and guidance in their timeless wisdom. Today, in our modern world of complexity and confusion, the parables remain as relevant as ever. They speak to human hearts across cultures and centuries, revealing the unchanging truths about God and his kingdom. The divine strategy worked perfectly. By speaking in parables, Jesus ensured that his teachings would survive, spread, and continue transforming lives long after his earthly ministry ended. The method was as eternal as the message. So why did Jesus speak in parables? To teach the teachable while concealing truth from the proud, to plant seeds that would bear fruit across generations, to reveal that in God's kingdom the simple truths often run deepest of all. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey of discovery. What are your thoughts on Jesus' use of parables? Do you see them differently now? Share your insights in the comments below. We love hearing from our viewers. If this video opened your eyes to new truths, please subscribe to Veil of the Bible and hit that notification bell so you never miss our biblical revelations. Like this video if it blessed you and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Don't forget to check out our latest video recommendation. Another fascinating biblical mystery awaits your discovery. Until next time, may God's truth illuminate your path.